Greetings and welcome to yet another episode of Outstanding Young Sri Lankan Role Models. This year we're celebrating amazing young Sri Lankans who are transforming their industries and adding great value to the Sri Lankan fabric. Today I have Mr. AZZAM AMEEN. He is the co-founder of Newswire and one of Sri Lanka's most vibrant journalists. And we have so much respect for him and what he does, and so it's an honor to have him. AZZAM, welcome.
Thank you, Prashan.
First of all, thank you for your incredible work as a journalist. I know there are a lot of young people and even older people who look up to you as a journalist in an era where people are afraid to talk the truth or people are afraid to ask the tough questions. You seem to not care and you would ask the tough questions. You make it look easy, but tell me what's going through your mind as you have engaged in this industry.
I think it's been an incredible journey because I started very young, I think at the age of 20, because I was doing media at school. So that kind of prompted me to get into the media field, and it's been now almost 13 years. So yes, I think I've been asked some tough questions or interviewing politicians, but I think it's more kind of with the experience. You look at your seniors and you kind of have an idea of how the international world goes. So they kind of have some very interesting chats with politicians, and I always want to keep it very friendly, but then ask the tough questions. So I've done quite a lot of interviews from the period from 2016 to 19. So with a lot of good personalities, and for the last 2 years I've not done many. I need to start back, but I've been having because we changed when I founded Newswire, it had a different role. We didn't have the video segments up, so but now with Newswire settled down, I think I need to get into that. So it has been a very interesting and last 10 years, especially working with politicians, and I work on all the sports as well. So which is a very big part of me. So I had a lot of fun and a lot of tough times as well. So as a journalist, been involved in this, all these political controversies as well. So with that, I've had a good time, and looking forward to another 10-15 years of journalism.
I'm sure, and I know the best is yet to come. Looking at your journey so far in a very short time, you've carved out a space for almost like a new breed of journalism in a new era of social media, in a new area of quick communication, keeping politicians accountable, but also in the sense of civility. It doesn't seem like you have an agenda against anybody. You're asking the questions that any civilian would like to know. How did you build that skill? Now, there's a competence here that you have built over the years. How did you build that?
I think I don't know what's the answer for that. How did you build? But I think it kind of came up with a little bit experience. But I remember when I went to the first press conference, I went to Charles Haviland from the BBC. He's like, AZZAM, you must ask a question, and he gave me a question. So it's like I was like just second or first press conference. And so I think SB Disanayak was the minister, so he was there. And it's written, so I've been writing it and rehearsing it, and when I start to ask, I saw my leg is like shaking, so it's like that kind of a pressure I was in. So but when I start couple of answers and couple of questions, and then it kind of, I got to it normal, and then it's kind of, again after that I kind of felt it's coming naturally to me. So everywhere, if there's a press conference, there was a reluctance from journalists to ask questions. I don't know what's the reason, but we had a time where kind of, so I had to ask somehow. So then it gradually became my press conference. Then we had, after that, we had a couple of 3 or 4 people. So it was, at that time, the cabinet press conference was almost, we had fun, I would always say, because we got questions from people, and we only had to kind of ask it in a polite way, and I think we did it to our maximum. So it was not easy sometimes, but with the social media world, you will be judged on a different way. When you ask this politician, his fan base would get angry, and if the other politician group, you will get their fan base angry. So you had to face their music as well. So with all that, that's how it started. So once you start doing it, you kind of, there was no pressure. So earlier, when I started, I have to say, with the shaking leg, you had to come up with that. But then after that, once you got used to it, it's become so natural, and and sometimes I plan questions. So then you have to, So for example, if I ask you a question, I know that what are the possible answers you could give. So with that, I work on the replies as well, because I always felt it's not the first question that It's about the follow-ups, because that's what a lot of journalists and a lot of people lack. Because you can always ask the first tough question and they would say something and get away, but you have to keep them accountable with the follow-up. So then you need to know the background a little bit and research on that subject. So sometimes mostly I try to do that. So,
and you've been brilliant at that, because what you do is you wait for the response and then you keep pressing, because that's what a journalist should do. Most of the time people are afraid to ask the question for various reasons, and then they definitely wouldn't ask the follow-up question, and you asked it. But another interesting thing that you added to the whole system was your engagement on Twitter and social media in general. Always on the money. Sometimes people would say you had stuff coming in almost before any state channel or any other. How do you keep that going? Your life must be pretty intense.
Yes, I think that's a very difficult thing, because you started doing it, there's no end for it. Because I've been doing it for last 10 years now. So whenever people around me know that both phones are always with me. So that you always have to keep monitor. And the problem is that even when you go abroad, you have to do it, because it's like you have a base, you are looking on that. So because I was telling yesterday with one of my friends that I've been doing this for last 12 years, this tweeting stuff, and sometimes I need to take a break, because it's been on the ball kind of thing. You kind of wait for things, and sometimes it's all about guessing. Like for example, that this news is coming, so you have to be on alert. And sometimes we get so once you build kind of a network like that, you get the information. So a lot of people ask, because I get young journalists who speak to me and said, where do you get the information? So it's not an easy thing to answer. I said, you have to subscribe for a lot of things. You can subscribe for media, press releases, stuff, and then I think it's again contacts, because now even the politicians know that if you give to AZZAM, it will become a news. So then it's easy for them to just to give to one person. So those kind of things are there. Even sports personalities, they have built a confidence that so it will be not distorted, or it will be not used to any other. That's another question we have. Some people kind of the news gets distorted, so you have to kind of always give the interviewer or someone who kind of whatever he want to say,
building trust.
To building trust. So that's very important. And then sometimes we've been accused of getting closer to politicians, but then that happens because it's about information. And so you call them 4 or 5 times a day to get information, and it becomes a friendly conversation, and it becomes a kind of sometimes turns into politicians. I have friends in politics, and I always kept them out of my interviews as well, because I told them, I said, AZZAM, you are not interviewing me. I said, I have a very good friendship with you, and I have helped you, and you have helped me. So sometimes it's difficult. So that is kind of professional thing I've been done. So like I've kept the politicians who are very friendly with me out of my interviews, and I've not given even when I was in the BBC, I didn't do any stuff with any interviews or any stories with them, because of I felt that conflict of interest there, because you can't when you're in this field, you can't keep out of friendships, because it's even when it's sports people or politicians, you always speak to them. So it's become, once you get into a friendship level. So I know there are people who even keep away from those things. So it's very good, but sometimes it's very difficult for us as well, because when you want to get the first information, you need to have that kind of a confidence. Sources are important. So you have to keep nagging them, and so that's for me, I personally think if the social media was not there, I would have not come this far, because social media, especially Twitter, played a key role because of that. That is why, because I was a producer at BBC when I started it, so producer didn't have a outside role. So you don't go and do interviews, or you don't do stories. You help the presenter or so with that, when I was a producer, I started tweeting. So then you kind of made a name because of that. So that kind of helped me to grow to another level. I know the first when I was BBC single interview, I remember how many Twitter followers kind of made because at that time they were also turning to social media. So I remember there were some senior journalists they interviewed, but I think I believe that I got the job because of the social media following I had, because they think that that is where even they need to get in, because a lot of media, when 2012, 2013, they got into social media. So that is where I think the entire change happened, and I think it's still, I know the entire our platforms are built on social media.
And you've definitely mastered this, and I've been watching where you don't have favorites, you're engaging with all political parties, political people, you're asking the tough questions, you're trying to do that, and you're trying to make sure that you're representing the people's concerns, and you're asking these questions, and then you've used social media to make sure it gets to the people. But another unique thing about you is normally when you had a Sinhala journalist, he had a Sinhala name, came from a Sinhala Buddhist background. Here is this AZZAM, AMEEN, all of a sudden speaking fluent Sinhalese, having, almost debates/questions with very eloquent politicians and keeping them on their toes. How did you build that skill? What was your upbringing like to have these language skills?
I think it mainly due to the schooling background, because I was with the SRI college, I studied Sinhala medium, so that is where the entire thing built on. So I was very fluent in Sinhala, and I would always say Sinhala is my first language, and then Tamil and English. So that is where everything started. And even from my school age, I was like comparing in Sinhala and trying to get into that field. And at that stage, there were a lot of few people to look at as well. I remember there were even Muslim personalities who were doing Sinhala as well, and in TV and those things. That kind of gave us that kind of inspiration, is you can also do it. So that because sometimes you feel that this is not your main language, so you need to, because we speak Tamil at home, and then Sinhalese at school, and out English as well. So it's a mixed thing. So I thought it came natural to me because of my background, because all my friends are the Sinhala speaking friends, and that became my first language, I would say. And so I always want to have, when I have debates, sometimes I feel that I don't have the this written language, or what you call it, so you have to have that friendly, normal talking conversations, because so that's, I feel people also like it, because they get into that, because sometimes when you ask questions in this very kind of formal way, people don't understand that, because people are very relaxed, so they was like, no, it's more like a personal private conversation where they would ask, because I get a lot of questions from people at that time when I was doing cabinet briefing, and then you have Facebook inbox would be full of questions, and then so it's very interesting time. That's what I said. I really miss it for the last 2 years, because of our newswire had a different line. It's more kind of web-based thing. So we thought the videos are not the priority. So now that we have built a platform, so we would like to kind of get into that. And with COVID also, sometimes you can't go directly and do interesting interviews. So I need to get into that, because that's kind of, I think, the main part, because I've been blamed a lot these days also. I've people in AZZAM, what are you doing? You're not asking any questions. And so sometimes you feel that if you see something, you want to get into there and ask something. Sometimes I said, and then so you feel that you like to do it.
So hopefully we'll see you back in
hopefully, yes.
the press conferences asking the tough questions, because citizens want tough questions from...
I think I had one interesting thing. There was this young journalist, a female journalist from local television. She kind of started doing this. I've seen, I've said, I saw her doing some very interesting press conference questions, and when I met her somewhere, she kind of came up to me and said, I was following you, and so it was very kind of, it gave us that at least people kind of, so I said I wanted to become like you, and she wanted me to give a kind of to look at all the videos and give an update. So it was like really inspiring to see that even people kind of at least few people kind of wants to do the job of asking questions and
taking you for a role model. During that era, there was a silence, especially in the Sinhala media context. There was a challenge of people asking them. You open the floodgates for more people to ask, and that's one of the reasons that we're celebrating. And in Sri Lanka Unites, we always say, anybody who's trilingual, who speaks Sinhalese, Tamil, and English is a person with superpowers in Sri Lanka. That's the idea of Sri Lanka. That's what we all should be, and that brings people closer together. Otherwise, they just see your name, he's Muslim, I'm not Muslim, I don't know Muslims, I don't. So, but now he's asking my questions. He's asking things that concern me, us, all of us. Tell me the importance of that. Now, you grew up as a journalist, or emerged as a journalist in a time of almost like an anti-Islamic sentiment also growing in the country. What was that like? And
yes, I think when I think 2012, 2013, that is where the entire, these kind of sentiments started. So that was kind of at the time I was building up. So, initially it didn't affect me because, I was not that prominent or not that, but I think once I think it's mostly after 2018, 19, it kind of, affected a lot, why can't you go and ask that question, this question and those kind of things. And even from our side, it was very difficult sometimes because you are blamed from both communities. So that was one of the base. Some people don't understand that, but I still remember there was, when we reported certain things, even when the BBC report, which I had nothing to do with that, I had to get the blame because I was kind of the face of that, although I didn't have a major prominent role of, editing or, publishing stuff, but I was a reporter, who kind of do my own stuff. But then again, I had to take the blame as well from the both communities, so which is not easy. So because people don't understand the context as well. So, and social media is very easy. I know people who are kind of sometimes blamed us, the next day they kind of apologize and they know that when they get to know it. But then there is that era where you kind of, I think Facebook was also not moderating stuff. I think now it's more kind of have a control environment. 2017, 18, you could put anything and you could accuse anyone without any background. So it was not easy. I mean, so I kind of, because sometimes your family feels that you're not safe. I said they're nothing, they kind of think, okay, this is, get out of the country, you just leave, you just, because they think on that line. So I've always said I've not faced any those kind of issues for the last 10, 15 years. Yes, you have social media stuff, but that's not the reality on the field. So I've always felt, even sometimes the political groups attacks us, but then those politicians are friendly. Sometimes they even say that, you did this, their followers don't understand these things and they kind of think on, because if it's very easy to plant fake stories and, accuse, say this, you didn't put this, you didn't put that. So that was...
You get hammered by both sides, and that's a mark of somebody who's trying to be a bridge, helping communities come. People walk over you, and sometimes you're the reason that they come together, but you're sometimes trampled as a result of that. And I can see how that could be stressful for you and the family. But do you ever wonder about security, about, like what's that in the mind of a journalist who wants to be bold? What goes through your mind?
I think it was there because when I got into journalism in 2009-10, I remember the Lasantha Wickramatunge incident, and then that's kind of always that's in the mind. So like because I remember that was like I was out of school in 2006, and after the university I was just starting journalism and Lasantha Wickramatunge, and there was so many incidents. I remember holding placards and going about the protest and even Lasantha funeral. So with that, that's the era we started. So I mean, from that we were thinking. I mean, like when I started, I was thinking it's that you will get into a lot of trouble kind of thing. That was always in the mind. So my parents didn't ever wanted me to get into journalism, and they think that it's not paid well as well. My mother kind of, because my father was a journalist for a long time, and she always say that your uncles, who kind of do other jobs, earn more, and journalism is not, you can't even earn more and you have to get criticism and all those things. So she kind of always said this is no for you, but again, he kind of felt in a way. So with that, with all that kind of situation, because I remember there was a time, 2008, my father was also, because he was writing for a Tamil paper, and he also got threats. I remember, so he goes in the morning to get bread. So there was a time that I had to go because my mother like, no, you can't send your father. So I was like, I was annoyed. So I remember that as well, because I like, what's this? I have to wake up in the morning 5 and go to take bread because of father having a threat. Because I think it was more kind of 2006 something. So I have that in my mind as well, because that's how people think. So I personally think I've not got any threats or anything like that, because a lot of people say, for example, if I do some good hard-hitting video and put them out, there'll be hundreds of comments saying, reminding you of Lasantha and reminding you of what happened to a journalist, white pants, all those things. So that kind of, you always have that in mind. But I think with my style, it's more kind of friendly. I never had an issue with any politician. because always it ended in a friendly way. So, and I always given them the opportunity as well. So I'm not kind of
fair journalism.
so because that's, I think sometimes what happens is that we go and we kind of have an argument, and that has never happened. It's more kind of a friendly way, and it's like so in that never happened. But the things that could happen is always in the mind. So sometimes there are a lot of stories we have not published because of thinking on that lines. So it's not, I wouldn't not say that we are not considering that. I think everyone would be considering the repercussions, and I know that a lot of good journalists have left the country, because they have done more hard-hitting journalism. Because I won't say that I've done hard-hitting journalism at the moment, because I've always kind of kept it in a different line. So people who have done investigative journalism and people who had done this hard-hitting journalism had to leave the country. So those things have happened. But in my line, it was more different because I kind of didn't get into some of those, because I've not done investigative journalism. So that's a key part of a lot of good journalists too. And some people who have got into those things had a lot of risk rather than me, because we were mainly asking kind of public questions, and we didn't. That's something I've been lacking as well, to something we could improve in the future, because we have not done another wave of journalism needed. Yeah, because I've always felt a lot of people sometimes ask, Azam, in news, why are you just put news? Why is the real journalism? I said, yes, there's a big issue which we need to address. I'll be addressing that, and because we had to start a platform, so we started it. Now it's about improving slowly and getting into investigative journalism, more kind of featurey and good quality journalism, because we started we wanted to start something with a kind of a quick news platform thing. So we've done that. So now it's about improving and getting good, because there are a lot of good journalists around the country, and because I always feel that because people know us and follow us in Twitter, they think that we are the journalists, but no, there are a lot of young good journalists in the newspapers, and who do better journalism than us. I always seen, and we would like to help and kind of get them up, give a platform to them. So that kind of, because I know that if you take like 100 top journalists in the country, I'm not in there, because I've seen people who write a lot of good stuff, but they don't have a platform. Because that's, I feel, because there are some good websites as well, but because they don't have that following, and they don't have that, sometimes it needs some marketing as well. So for me, when we started Newswire, it was easy because I had a good social media following, so people were following us anyway, so we could kind of bring. But there are a lot of young good journalists who have done, because now there's a trend of people starting their own thing, which is a very good thing, because because then you can do your own journalism rather than otherwise, as you know, the Sri Lankan television or press media newspaper industry is more kind of, everything is connected to politics. So if you want, so there's a lot of new people coming up with.
So that leads me to my final question, in talking about what's your vision for Newswire and journalism in the future. What would you like to see in the future, and then also for Sri Lanka? As a young Sri Lankan, looking for our future, sometimes very bleak right now. So many people are trying to leave, there's a lot of frustration, people feel like they've been burnt from every political side and they have nowhere to go. What's an accomplishment that we can have as a country in the years to come that you think would mean we've made it, or we've jumped the hurdle? First for your career, and then for the country.
Yes, personally on my career, I think I need to, what I need is, like, I would like to build a platform where we could get real good journalism. So that's always been the target, where people can get good, accurate information, plus so they can make their own decisions on various things. And that's where my career plan is, like, to build my own kind of media platforms. So that is where I would say the next target is, like, we have built it one, but then we need to add the real good journalism stuff, where people could get real accurate information, plus good quality content, and where they could make good decisions regarding Sri Lankan democracy, and which we could promote a lot of, because I've seen media is always about this country has a lot of good news, which has been even I've been blamed for this. Sometimes we always go behind the bad things happen in this country, but this is a very beautiful country where I would say 99% people want to live together in all community. So, with that, we need to kind of promote that, because I know Sri Lanka Unite does a very good job and with promoting all these young and all communities together. So sometimes we are also guilt that we don't give those kind of top news platforms to these kind of institutions. So because if you get the top news, how it promote people, it's all about being politics and covering what these politicians said and what these politicians said. So
just to interject, I remember one student from Bulletin once said, Anna, if I strap a bomb around my waist and blow myself up, I'll get on the news easier than bringing 100 kids to do peace building work. And so it's discouraged, but it's amazing thing that you're thinking that way.
Exactly. I mean, I always think, but it's just that you need to create that platform where sometimes I remember that sometimes you send me, even you send a press release, I would say, how to market this. People won't read because I remember when we were posting these kind of stories, but it's always about keeping a mix as well. So because if people don't read, there's no point. So we need to kind of build something where everybody would even we can change the perception of people as well. It's about what we are kind of giving them. So if the entire media industry is giving them this, we have to kind of change it on another way. So that's kind of the clarity I would, we were planning on that. So that's what we want to achieve one day, to where in all communities, whether it's Sinhalese, Tamil or Muslims would come, there will be a media platform, because, if you take our team, it's mixed with, all religious people, whether it's not some one person, no. So we are building a team where we could have all these top journalists from the country without any religion, race, and to build a good media platform where everybody would come and can share their stories. So where young journalists, freelance people, there's a lot of, now I think it's an era where there is no one, everybody can write, and because it's the social media platform. So that kind of an era we want to build, where people's voices are heard. So that is where the main target is. So hopefully we are getting there. I think we would be happy to get there. So if you look at the country-wise, I think I know it's people, even I had a recent story published where saying that a lot of people are leaving the country, but I think we all have to stay and fight, because that is where I think this is the part of democracy. We can fight and achieve our objectives, and as a country to move forward. I think economically at this time it's not doing well, but I think if all get together and put all political difference aside, I always believe that we could achieve a lot as a country, and to live peacefully, because that's what all our communities wants to, whether it's Sinhalese, Tamil, Muslim or any other communities, we all want to live in peace. And I've always, the unity in diversity is very beautiful, because that's where because for me, personally, we celebrate everything, from Urdu to for Tamil festivals to Muslim festivals, everything. So that's I think it's unique, and it's the best thing we have in this country, because beauty of Sri Lanka. So we want to have that, and we want to keep that, and move forward, in a beautiful way. So I think that's what a lot of young people also want, because I know I follow a lot of young journalists in our platforms who comment, and they always want that, they've always now want our democracy to be more kind of, because to be more vibrant, and now it's not like earlier where you follow what politicians say. They have been questioned, and they've been, even attacked for what they, if they do something wrong. So with that, I believe that there is a very good young people are coming up with, because they want a very strong democracy where they could, and I think our politicians also will be now coming. You can't do your mistakes and now get away easier with the young people, with social media and all those things. I think we would come into a good place. I think the economy, we have to sort it out. With that, I believe that if we can, narrow political agendas on politics, without using religion, if they can get rid of that, I think we will be in a very good position.
Brilliant. Amazing parting words. Thank you, AZZAM.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best. We
Thank you.
hope that you continue to, pioneer positive journalism in this country.
Thank you.
And thank you for your work.
Thank you, Prashan.
All our guests who are watching, thank you so much for being part of this show, and we want to thank you for wanting to be part of the change as well. Especially if you're a young journalist aspiring, maybe inspired by AZZAM's story. I hope that you would be that change in your community and for this country. Thank you for watching. Join us again next week.